All right, I want to welcome everybody to another Thursday Conversations with Commodores. And my guest tonight needs zero introduction, but I'll give him a brief one anyway. You guys know him as Jimmy Manley, one of the most decorated Commodores, definitely in the last 25, 30 years. The pride of Huffman High School out of Birmingham, Alabama. Jimmy, thank you for having a few minutes with us tonight. It's so good to meet you and to share some time with you.
Thanks for bringing me on. I'm very excited about this conversation.
Well, I am too. And there's a whole bunch of folks who are going to be rolling in the next couple of minutes that I know are going to want to say hello and share some good memories with you. And I'll mention them as they roll in. But before we take it back to McGugan and Jess Neely and the good old days of SEC football, why don't you tell us what's going on with you currently? Catch folks up with what gets you, what are you doing these days? Tell us about your beautiful family and let's go from there.
Cool. Married, been married for 21 years, actually. We just reached our 21-year mark. My wife's name is Vanessa Manley. Lovely wife. I love her to death. She's a great wife, great mother. I have 4 kids. Zachary, who's 24, and he lives here in Atlanta. I have James. He is 19. And he was a freshman at Morehouse College just this past year. I have Jackson, who was a freshman in high school. He just turned 15. And my one daughter, Vivian, she will be turning 11 Sunday. So
she's the princess of the house.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I lived in McDonough, Georgia, so just south of Atlanta. Working project management. I work in construction. Actually, when I was finished with school and finished with NFL, I moved to New York and started working in construction management. Lived in New York for about 4 years. Went through 9/11, went through the blackout. It was like I need to come back down south. Moved to Atlanta. Now I work at the airport, Atlanta Airport, doing construction jobs there. My hobbies, I was telling you earlier, I actually referee football, high school football. Just actually did a state championship with my good friend Kenny Simon. We were on the same crew.
Excellent.
Here in Georgia, 5A championship, and I also referee lacrosse. So I get my exercise in. And that's what I do for fun. Otherwise, I'm being daddy, taking kids to games and practices, and I'm a Boy Scout leader as well, so I do that. So I'm packed with a lot of stuff to do.
You sure are, boy. What that keeps you not only busy, but keeping you in shape and keeping you young. But I gotta ask, I want to know what coach has challenged you as a referee in a football when you've made a call, or a lacrosse when you've made a call.
You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. And actually, I probably get it worse from Little League than you would from high school, In the Little Leagues, I just say the coaches are crazy. Most of them don't know the rules, but they watch the NFL, they watch college and think the rules apply the same way for Little League. So.
And how often are you recognized as being a former NFL and SEC ball player when you're refereeing? Do people know that?
Not a whole lot. Every now and then I come across ex-players and we talk. I'm a big guy, so they'll ask you if you played. And
you don't blend in size-wise.
So so I meet a lot of guys in the Atlanta area. A lot of guys that played, coach. Some guys do referee, and we'll start talking about football in that way.
Excellent. Well, we've got some folks who are rolling in. June Jakes is watching us. Your lovely bride has joined us. Jason Smith says, "What's up, chick?"
Oh, guys, what's up?
For joining in. And as they come in and comment, I'll let you know who we've got. And what is Birmingham's loss is McDonough and Atlanta area's gain. So much love, continued success in the McDonough area for you guys.
Thank you.
So let's kick it back to Birmingham. Did you grow up in Birmingham? Where did you go to middle school or junior high before you made it over to the Huffman Vikings as a prepster?
Okay, I grew up. Yeah, I grew up in Birmingham. I grew up in the airport area. It was a neighborhood called Inglenook. Inglenook was a great neighborhood. It was a huge neighborhood. In my neighborhood, we had an elementary school, we had a library, we had a fire department, and we had a convention center there. So all in one neighborhood. I could go around and play in the different parts of the neighborhood, different days of the week. So I had a lot of friends from the neighborhood. It was a great neighborhood to grow up in. I went to Inglenook Elementary, ended up going to Huffman Middle, which was really cool. It was on the other side of town, but Huffman had the magnet program. And then I went to Huffman High School. Enjoyed my time there. It challenged me athletically and academically. It led me on my path to Vandy.
When was the last time you saw the Huffman campus and the school itself?
Well, my parents still live there, and actually, they built a new Huffman. They, in Birmingham, they combined a lot of the high schools, and they built. So the school I went to is not there anymore. They tore that down. So
right, that round building is gone.
Right. I love those round buildings. But now this is a nice sized campus, and actually, when I played football there, we had community fields. We either played at Legion Field, or we played at they had a field at Fair Park and Lawson Field. Now they have fields on the campus, so I'm kind of jealous. We had to travel to all our games for the community fields. Now they have the field on campus. I would love to have that back in the day.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I've been there in the last few years for lacrosse, football, and basketball games. It's a gorgeous campus and facilities.
Yeah.
Sadly, Lawson Field is just a shell of what it used to be. Fair Park is no longer there, as you know, and Legion Field is just barely hanging on. But that field itself has such a rich history, not only high school, but college and professional as well. So let's talk a little bit about your days at Huffman. Did you know that you wanted to play college ball at a young age? Was that an aspiration, or what were some of your dreams as a kid? What did you think you wanted to do when you were 45 years of age?
Honestly, it was funny. I wanted to be an engineer. When I was young, I was really good at math. And it's a funny story when people used to come through the neighborhood. They were like insurance salesmen, but they were trying to sell your parents on saving money for college. And I remember I was probably in the fifth grade, and I asked the guy, who what do people do that are good in math, right? And he said, engineer. And he showed the two schools that were top engineering schools in the South Georgia, taking Vanderbilt. And he showed the price, and I said, well, I'll probably never get a chance to go to those schools, right? And so then, I was really good in football at a young age. I played when I started at 5 years old. I didn't know I was playing up because I was a big kid. So the kids that I played with were probably a year older than me. But in Birmingham at that time, they had weight limits. So when I got to middle school, I couldn't play anymore. I was over 125, So I didn't play my whole middle school years. When I got to high school, I was hungry, man. I was ready to play. So I never thought about college, but I received my first letter spring of my freshman year. It was from North Carolina State. And I was like, wow, I could take this to the next level, So so that's when I started to really think I could play college ball. Other than that, I was just playing football for fun.
Well, going into your ninth grade football season, were you at the high school, or was it still the junior high, ninth grade year?
I was at the high school. And the funny thing was, I say this now looking back, I was probably good enough to try out for the varsity, but we had a freshman team. And I was afraid because I hadn't played football in so long, unsure. I was like, these guys in high school, but I dominated freshman football. I mean, it was unfair,
How big were you as a freshman? How tall?
I really don't know. I'm thinking I definitely was getting close to the 6 foot mark, if I wasn't there. And I probably weighed about, I would say between 225 and 250 at that time, probably.
For a freshman, absolutely, that's a good size. Yeah. Especially, I hate to put a date on you, but that was 30 years ago already.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a while back.
Where were they having you play as a freshman?
D-line. I always wanted to play D-line. And then, we play both ways. So I play offensive line and defensive line. And I was actually probably, I hate to say that, my heart was playing D-line, but I probably was a better offensive lineman, to be honest with you.
Is that right?
They had me playing center. So my sophomore year, I actually played mostly offense. I played center. And I played, my heart was at D-line. So I would beg them to let me play, and they let me play. But I was a really good center because I had the quickness, and I was bigger than most guys. And they put those small nose tackles up in front of me, and they were quick, but I was quick, just as quick as them, but I was bigger, and it was what it was at that time.
Now, were you playing any other sports in junior high or high school?
In high school, I played basketball, and I played 2 years of baseball. Baseball is actually my favorite sport. I love baseball. Just didn't play it a lot. I love watching it. I'm a big Mets fan. From when I lived in New York. Love the Mets. Love the Mets. Listen to them on the radio every day.
Well, then you're just a glutton for punishment. That's all. I'm a lifelong Braves fan. We can leave it. But so going into your next 3 years, sophomore, junior, senior years, you're building momentum. You're also probably hitting a growth spurt, and you're getting noticed. So talk to us, take us through your recruiting process during that time. Did you strictly play D-line? How were your teams? Take us through that time period a little bit.
Well, my teams were average. We probably won about 5 games a year, which is sad because I thought we had really good teams. We had really big guys on my team. Brian Boykin was my teammate. He was really good. We had, and for some reason we just couldn't get it to click. What I would tell people, the one thing about playing high school ball in Birmingham at that time, the guys were big. So when I got to college, it seemed like I was playing the same guys. So it wasn't like my guys were big and they were smaller than us. And, the varsity level in Birmingham was some big guys. So we had really stiff, hard competition.
Well, Jimmy, in the 90s, especially the early 90s, Birmingham high school football was as competitive as anywhere in the South.
Yeah.
Those teams absolutely would compete with Atlanta or any of the other cities that really had concentrated on high school football. And before I forget, Jason Smith gives you another shout out, saying he was a freshman when you were a senior, and you really were his inspiration for coming to Vanderbilt.
That's good to know. And he did a good job. I remember Jason from high school when he came in and when he came to Vandy, I was glad he did.
Now the Huffman Viking on the roster, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
but like you say, I had some games in high school that were just as competitive as college games. The intensity, rival games. I mean, playing hard. It really rivaled some of the games I played in college.
Well, when did you take a recruiting visit to Vanderbilt? When did you know that Vanderbilt was going to be your school?
So Coach Case was my recruiter. I don't know if people remember Coach Case. Coach Case was a DB coach, and he was a really good recruiter. I took my first visit was in North Carolina State. My second visit was to Mississippi State. My third visit was to Vandy. Vandy recruited me very hard. I knew I would have a chance to play in the SEC, and the engineering. Again, like I said, it was one of those things where I thought I would never have an opportunity to go, and then here is an opportunity for me to go. So that really loomed large for me. After my visit to Vandy, I was kind of tired of the recruiting. Auburn was really hard after me, and Alabama came hard after me, like at the turn of the year. So Auburn was really, really hard after me. But if you remember, Auburn at that time had the Eric Ramsey issues in '92. So Pat Sullivan was my recruiter. Pat Sullivan left and went to TCU, and I kind of saw the writing on the wall. But it was between Vandy and Auburn. Rodney Garner, he was an excellent recruiter. He was their recruiting coordinator. I mean, even on signing day, he called me and said, "James, you sure you want to go to Vandy? You sure you don't want to come to Auburn?" Alabama started recruiting me hard in January, so signing days in February. And I felt like at that time, coming out of Birmingham, highly ranked, why didn't they recruit me all along? I felt like I was their second choice. So it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. 17-year-old kid, pride. So Vandy, after I took my visit to Vandy, parents, we discussed it, and I committed after that visit.
Well, what impressed you when you first came to campus the first time? What was it that just, gosh, this can be my home for the next few years?
Well, the biggest thing for me, for Vandy, was a lot of things. I think it's the best university in the SEC. I tell people that all the time. You're in a big city in Nashville, and Nashville wasn't as big as it is now. You're playing in the SEC, right? So you're playing against the same competition, and you're getting top-notch education on a beautiful campus. And I was sold, really, like I said, they recruited me hard to the point where I was like, I felt wanted. I felt like there was a place for me. I felt like I could compete academically as well as on the football field. And it was a challenge for me, and I thought it was just the right choice for me.
And who was your head coach that first year when you came in?
Jerry DiNardo. He was the coach there for my first 3 years, actually. So Coach DiNardo, and then my last year, Coach Dalhauer.
Did your freshman year, when you came in August or leading up to that time period, we didn't have social media back in the day like they do now, and you can learn everything you want to learn about just about anybody leading up to the rooming with the new teammates. Had you been able to speak to your future teammates and roommates, and did you know any of those guys ahead of time?
I knew none of them. I had not talked to any of them. I actually played in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, and most of those guys were going to Alabama, Mississippi. So when any other Vandy guys going to Vandy that was playing in that game. And like you said, I really, even on my recruiting visit, I don't remember meeting any of the guys on my visit. So my first time meeting pretty much everyone was when I first hit campus.
And who was your roommate? Who were your roommates?
my good friend Alan DeGraffin Reed. So if you know, Alan had a twin brother, Byron, right? So I had two roommates basically. So they were always in my room. Or if they weren't in my room, they were in Byron's room. So I got a little relief there. But a lot of times they would hang out. And they would fight a lot. Twins, brothers, they would fight all the time. I was breaking up fights in my room, trying to study, and I'm just keeping them away from my side of the room. Y'all fight over there, and I'll just watch.
Wow. Twin brothers who play football. Imagine that.
Right.
Well, where did the freshmen live? Where'd you live your freshman year? What dorm?
I stayed in Branscombe.
Okay.
I stayed in Branscombe.
Okay, as did we. Just several. I was the fall of '86, and so we were at in Lupton was our side of Branscombe.
Yep.
Got right to the middle of campus. At least to me, it was so easy because the campus being so small, you could really, that was kind of the hub, in my opinion, of the middle of the campus. Made it easier. But Jimmy, I want to tell you who we got. A bunch of folks who've rolled in. Gene Wyndham. Joe Peoples says the man child. Jackie Oliver said it was fun coaching you. And Miss June Jakes says to tell you hello. Pat Fitch, one of my buddies from back in the day and from Dothan. Noel Wells. Let's see, that's all that's rolled in the last couple of minutes.
Okay. Man, Jappy used to dig on them. I tell Jappy if you hear me, Jappy, I love you, man. I love you.
He's still on. If he's still on, I'm sure he's hearing now. But Jimmy, let's talk about those first couple of days. Were you part of the bell buckle experience? And
I was.
Did you know anything about it before you got to campus? Had you heard any rumors or know anything at that time?
Just a little bit. You hear about it, but you don't know much about it till you experience it. It was tough.
Well, I want you to share some of that tough that was there, because I've heard there was standing water. It was horrible food. The mosquitoes were everywhere. There was nothing but football and sleep.
No trees by the practice field. I think it was my sophomore year. Brian Boykin and I were at a practice one day, and we said, man, we could just split a cab and get out of here, man. We can call it a day. It was hot. You know, I'm used to the heat coming from Birmingham. You know, 2 days in Birmingham and humidity, but it was extremely hot, and we banged all day. You know, it felt like we just banged all day. And, you know, we were running team at that time, man. We were hitting all day, and it took a lot mentally to get through it. It really did. But I thought it made us stronger as a team. But it was difficult, to say the least.
I'm sure that it was. That was not in my day. That I think was Coach DiNardo's brainchild or something that he and his staff came up with. But when fall camp finally broke, school starts, and you're finally getting ready for that first game. Where were you on the depth chart? Do you remember who the first game was against? Do you have some recollections of back in that time period?
So our first game, let me see. That's a good question. I think we played Wake Forest first that year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, my freshman year. Yeah, we played Wake Forest first. I was second team. I did get some playing time. We won that game, and then our second game was Ole Miss, and we actually won that game. Going into the third game, I believe was Auburn, and we didn't play too well at Auburn, but we had really good momentum going into after those first 2 weeks. We beat Ole Miss pretty good that year. And
who was running first team ahead of you at that time?
We had DeWitt was the tackle, and we had Tony. What's Tony's last name? He came from the Air Force Academy.
If somebody who's watching remembers, throw his name in the comments. But let me ask you, what kind of defensive scheme were y'all running, and was it something you were having to get used to, or did you recognize some of it from your high school days?
No, we ran the 4-3, and that's what I ran in high school. I liked the 4-3. You play over the center in a 1 technique or a 0 sometimes, or you'd be in 2 technique, head up the guard or 3. I actually felt comfortable in that system. I like that system more so than the 3-4. 4-3 I was very comfortable with 4-3. I like 4-3 a lot.
How about Tony K? Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
Thank you, Joe Peoples. He remembered. Jimmy, what about knocking heads for the first time in an SEC game? You're playing Ole Miss. You're playing Auburn. Was it for you leading up to games and on game day? What was your mindset? Were you kind of jacked up and bouncing off the walls, or did you keep to yourself and just kind of stayed in your moment? What was your approach to game day before the kickoff?
I kept to myself, butterflies, excitement. Thanking God for an opportunity to play. It was a joy to play. It was fun. Games were fun with the crowd. The SEC atmosphere, it was nothing like it. I've been to other college campuses and seen games, and it's nothing like that. It was really fun. It was really the preparation for it. Sometimes it will get tough during the week, but I relish it now. Think about it and appreciate it now. But the first games, a lot of butterflies. And telling myself when I get in there, make the most of my opportunity. Because like I said, I was running second team. I knew I wouldn't get a couple limited snaps, but when I went in there, I tried to do my best. And I think I got a sack, my first sack that Ole Miss game. Yeah.
Shades of. Well, tell me, did you have rituals, routines, superstitions leading up to games? Did you put on the left sock and then the right sock and then the left shoe, or did you have some athletes are completely superstitious. Don't you dare touch my stuff or whatever. Like there's one guy I know in the 70s that played O-line for Vanderbilt. Honest to goodness, 3 or 4 people have told me that he would sleep with his shoulder pads in his bed on game night. Anyway, did you like that?
I didn't. I was, for some reason, I was always nervous energy. I always had butterflies in my stomach. So I was always trying to calm down. That was my biggest thing, not try not to burn myself out before the game and worrying. And I don't want to say fearful, but I knew I was going against good competition, but that I think that raised my level when I wouldn't want to go into a game too confident, probably get beat, so I was always thinking about preparation, thinking about the things that we saw on film, thinking about, how I could beat my opponent. Those were the things I always thought about.
Did you now that you've already left school? It's 20 odd years later, so you can tell us it's just us Commodores here. Did you spend more time your freshman year on your school books or on the weights or watching film?
Wow, that's a good question. I would say, man, I spent a lot of time on all of it, actually. The books were tough. Engineering was tough for me. Going into freshman year playing SEC football, waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to study table, or being there at 6 o'clock in the morning, going to class, going to class, coming to practice, going to eat, study table, and starts all over again. So it was a really tough adjustment. Didn't get much sleep, but had to persevere through it.
And it was such a regimented schedule. There was really only the nights after games that I found. And I wasn't a starter. I didn't play but a little bit my senior year on special teams. But regardless of where you are on the roster, you're still obligated and expected to do what everyone else does. Yeah. So the downtime is so very little, particularly during the season. But my question for you is, and Rock Batten says to tell you hello. Good to see you. And Rock's been on a while back. And Mark Stump Johnson, another Birmingham fella, just joined.
Hey, what's up, Mark? Yep.
And he's going.
Mark helped recruit me, right? I think I told you that. Mark helped recruit me.
That's right. That's right. And Mark's my guest for next week.
Okay, cool.
Birmingham back to back. But what was your favorite time of the week during the season?
Ooh. Well, I can tell you.
It doesn't have to be football related, just any time of the week.
I can tell you, I hated waking up on Tuesday. Tuesday was the worst day of the week. Man, we would knock heads, and then he would run us to death after practice on Tuesdays. My best day of the week when I felt good was that Thursday, Friday, getting ready to go into a game. The excitement starts to build. You studied your team, your opponent. You practice, and you kind of, the Tuesday, Wednesday days are the hard days. Thursday, they scale it back a little bit, not a lot, but compared to Tuesday and Wednesday. And so that Thursday, Friday were good days getting ready to go into that Saturday.
Now that Thursday night, did you and your crew let your hair down just a little bit? Were you able to relax and just, I don't know, hang out at the dorms or go do something? Or did y'all keep it on campus and kind of lock down on Thursday nights?
Depends. Sometimes, like I said, I was deep into the books, or trying to get deep into the books. So I try to stay on schedule. And unfortunately, in engineering, a lot of our tests were on Friday. So I was preparing a lot. But every now and then, I would do something with the guys on Thursday when I could. But a lot of times, I was just trying to get up in class, to be honest with you.
Well, you get that first sack against Ole Miss in your second game.
Yeah.
And that had to have given you some confidence and a charge in your game. Anything else about your freshman year, on or off the field, that really are vivid memories, that something that really sticks out?
Let's see. Good question. You know what? I take that back. We didn't play Ole Miss. We played Alabama first, I think. Yeah, man, I can't remember. It was freshman year, but
while you're talking, I'm gonna look up the schedule in now.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. I think we played Wake Forest my sophomore and junior season. Yeah, we played Alabama. Matter of fact, yeah, that was Alabama. We lost to Alabama 16-8. That my freshman year. That was our first game, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
And I think that year that Alabama went on to win the national championship against Miami.
And we came the closest to beating them. We only lost to them by 8 points that year, I think. I think it was 16-8, if I'm not mistaken. And that was exciting in itself going back home. So, yeah, that was our first game.
Well, let's talk about that for just a second. That game was in Tuscaloosa right after Labor Day. How many family members did you have and friends come over from Huffman, Center Point, Inglewood, or that whole area. Do you have a bunch of?
I had a ton of people come. It was really cool. And I thought we played a really good game that game. You know, like you say, they won a national championship that year, and we played them tough. You know, I thought, like I said, I thought we had a really tough team. We were tough. You know, especially when it came to run, most people couldn't. You know, we wouldn't out tough us. You know.
Well, the second and third games, you beat Duke in a slugfest, 42-37.
That's right. Yep.
Then you took care of Ole Miss. Really, 31-9 was a good win. But then there was a string of 4 losses at Jordan Hare. Wake Forest was a bad loss at home. Then you played tough at Georgia, 30-20 loss. And then South Carolina was a tough loss. But then you rebounded and beat Kentucky and Navy. But then lost the last 2 games. Florida and then Tennessee was a tough loss, 29-25.
Oh, that was a tough loss. You know, we had them beat that game. We had Tennessee beat, man. When I went to the NFL, I talked to one of the coaches that was at Tennessee, and he said they were on the sideline, thought we were going to beat them that game. It was in the 4th quarter, and they just went off on a scoring spree on us. We had them beat. That was a tough game to lose.
Well, I hate to out-memory you, if that's a word. My sophomore year, we were beating Tennessee at Tennessee 28-3 at half and lost 30-36.
Oh, yeah.
That was this 87 season, I believe. But anyway, let's keep going in your time period and take us through some of your next 2 or 3 seasons. You're gaining confidence. Eventually, you become a starter. You start getting noted. And things are on a roll for you personally, and the team is slowly coming along and doing its thing under Coach DiNardo. What was it about that defense that you enjoyed and were able to thrive in? And who were some of your teammates back then on the starting line with you?
We had a really good defense, even from freshman year all the way through. Some of the guys, man, we had a ton. We had a lot of good linebackers, a lot of good DBs. You know, we had a really good defense actually. When you think about the guys that were on there, my sophomore year, I started to gain confidence. Like I said, when I came, I saw college differently because, like I said, I had really good competition in high school. I don't know why, but the Birmingham area, we had big guys that were physical and fast. So when I got to college, it felt the same. They were probably stronger, but as far as the quickness and the speed, I felt comfortable. So going into my sophomore year, I started to become more comfortable. Then I started to really challenge myself to want to become the best. I felt confident every time I went on the field. I was the best. And I would say in my sophomore year, I had a pretty decent game against Florida. We were at Florida. And some of the guys, some of my teammates were saying, man, you probably good enough to make it to the NFL. And that's the first time I ever thought about the NFL, actually.
Wow.
So going into my junior year, that was probably my best year as far as stats. And it was a fun year. You know, I think that was the closest we came to making a bowl game.
And that was DiNardo's last year with you, right?
Right.
Did you stay in that same defensive scheme? Did you stay in the same position the whole year?
Yes. So those first 3 years I did. My last year, that's when they changed me to nose guard, which was kind of upsetting, but because I was so used to it.
I was going to ask you about that, but clearly you thrived there. You made all SEC senior year. So what was it for those of us who've never played the position, but know the sport somewhat, having played, and for folks who may watch this later on who are just casual fans who don't really know the inner workings of the defensive line, why was it upsetting to you to start with? And what was
I wouldn't say, maybe upsetting is the wrong word. I would say not even disappointing. I was just really geared up to have a great season my senior year, and they put me in nose guard, which was not a bad move because I was on the center, but I would get doubled a lot. Like I said, we had really good linebackers.
I was going to say, you
We
were.
had Jamie Duncan at linebacker, Anthony Jordan, Carlton Hall, Jeff Coat. This is my senior year, so those guys can run like deer. And we were space eaters up front, so they can run and make all the tackles.
I was just getting ready to say that. Well, you're a space eater, and folks have got to recognize you on that line. And what doesn't show up in the stats from your junior year because you switched to on the nose, there needs to be a recognized statistic for your position. I don't know what that would be called. Maybe most double teams or triple teams or space. But it clearly you got folks' attention because you were honored at the end of that season.
Yeah.
But before we get there, back up a little bit about the philosophy differences with Dowhauer's your senior year and their defensive philosophy compared to what you were used to for the first 3 years under DiNardo.
Well, I would say it wasn't Dowhauer's system, it was Woody's system.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, No, you're good. You're good. Dowhauer was the head coach, but it really was Woody's defense. The difference, so under DiNardo, we had really good coaches, actually. Jappy ended up leaving. Jappy was my D-line coach my freshman year. And then they switched him, and I kind of hated that, but I guess that's part of it. I think Jappy ended up going to the linebackers. I don't think he went to the DBs. Linebackers, DBs, whatever. I hated that because I started feeling comfortable with Jappy. But one thing that DiNardo did, it made us tough. So we weren't afraid to hit. We got into the mix a lot, even our DBs. We were a tough defense. The difference between Woody, what Woody would do, and Woody, I really thrived on the Woody system, especially at the nose guard, because Woody challenged us to, even though I wasn't a linebacker or I wasn't a DB, he challenged us in film study. He would say, okay, we got this play. What is this DB doing? He's asking me as a nose guard, what is my safety doing? What is my DB doing? So what it ended up doing is it made us smarter, so when we were running the blitz, I knew where everybody was coming from. I knew everything that was happening. And then he started challenging us on looking at the offenses. So the offenses in college are really vanilla compared to the NFL. So he would say, okay, they're in the far set. What plays can they run from this far set, right? All right, so you know that. What down and distance is it? Is it third down? Is it second down? So they're probably going to run certain plays out of this. Then we can read the lineman. I can read the lineman and say, okay, they're either in a run stance or a pass stance. And I would yell it out to my linebackers, hey, I got this guard, look like he's about to pull. Looks like they're going to run counter. So we would be talking to each other. And it just made us such a better defense. We were tough because of the DiNardo years. And then we became smarter under Woody because he challenged us to know everybody's position.
And I know you appreciate it now, but did you guys have, and I don't know if you had the mental, no, that's not the right word, the presence of mind to appreciate, you knew where Woody had coached and what he had built in the NFL and that mentality. But what a privilege, I think, I wasn't there, obviously, you guys were, to play for such a defensive oriented, and some have called him a genius, to be able to absorb that for that year. Because I wonder if that also helped you to prepare a little bit for once you got to the Vikings.
It did. Like I said, the mindset of study. When you get to the NFL, you study, that's all you do is study. The other team, you look at every advantage. We knew of his pedigree, coming in. And actually, I would say that I didn't know of it until he got there. And then we found out about it. But he was really good at challenging you. But what I also noticed, he was really good at confusing the other quarterback. We got to the point, and I wish I would have had another year with him, because by the end of that season, our defense was really good. I don't know. My senior year, when we played Tennessee probably had the number 2 ranked offense in the nation, and they only scored 12 points against us. They beat us 12-7, and they really had to have that last drive to beat us. And I remember me being nose guard, which was kind of funny. And Peyton Manning was the quarterback. He was a sophomore. And I remember he would come up looking confused because our DBs would disguise everything. Woody did a good job. They would disguise. He would not know what we were running. So all the offensive linemen were down. I was up talking to him, saying, "You really don't know what we're running. I can see it in your eyes, you know." And then when he gets on the center, I would get down and get ready to play. But what I realized, and like I say, that was the last game of the season. It took us a while to learn the defense and work as a group. But once we started, and they did well after I left because of that. They worked well as a group.
Yeah, there was certainly nothing vanilla or plain about y'all's defense all during that time period. So let's take it to you finish your senior year, your last game against a tough loss against that dreaded team from Knoxville. At this point, I know that, well, I'm going to assume that you've being talked to by the coaches and other maybe NFL personnel, just kind of feeling you out a little bit, and you become decorated at this point. So take us from the fall of your senior year when the season ends up through the draft, that 4 or 5 month time period. You've still got finals, you've still got school, you've got a break in the semesters, you come back in January. What are you doing during that time period to get yourself ready for the draft?
Working out. I'm doing a lot of working out. And actually at that point, it was the agents start coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like being recruited again. So you get a call from a lot of agents telling you how good you are and all that, but I didn't believe it. You know, because I thought I was good, but you don't know what's going on in the nation. You really don't know where you're at. So I went through that process with my parents, and then once we got into the spring, a lot of working out, and then the coaches started coming. So you get on-campus visits and workouts with the different D-line coaches or scouts from different teams. And then I went to the combine. So we had the combine.
Where was that held back then? Where was it held?
In Indianapolis.
Still in Indianapolis. Was that in February?
No, the combine was in March, I believe. March. Yeah, March. Yes.
And when was the draft that year, Jimmy?
April.
Okay, so you're your senior year. You're in your last year of college. You're in successive months. You've got the combine, the draft, and then in May is typically graduation. So
yeah, but I still had one more year with engineering, so I wasn't finished.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Engineering's no joke at Vanderbilt. So I didn't know how you fit all that in, particularly when you're getting ready for the draft. But now take us to the draft. Where are you for the draft? What are you being told? What's going on in your mind? I'm sure a million things.
Yeah, so I was in Birmingham with my parents, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I thought I had good workouts. I thought I had a pretty decent combine, but literally had no idea. And what's funny about the draft, when you talk to a lot of players, a lot of times you get drafted by the team you don't think you're going to get drafted by that team. You know, I had one workout. I ended up getting drafted by Minnesota, but I had only one workout with Minnesota. Even at the combine, I really didn't talk to Minnesota. So the combine, you know, the setup is you're in a hotel and all the teams are at the bottom level and all the players are at the top level, and you come down and you do basically interviews with the teams during the down period when you're not working out or doing tests or anything like that. So I only talked to Minnesota once. So when they drafted me, it's actually shocking. I
really didn't.
I didn't think.
Were you able to?
Yeah,
watch
I didn't think. I was. Yeah, I did. Watched it on TV and saw the name pop up. They called, of course, before the.
Take us to that phone call.
Well, it was actually Coach Dennis Green called me, and it was like the butterflies. It was amazing. It was a good feeling. I can't describe it at that time because, you know, we really worked hard. And one of the things about going to Vandy and what I felt was I felt at a disadvantage because, like, my junior year, I said was my best year, and I didn't make all SEC that year. you know. And I think some other guys that I felt like I was better than made all SEC because of the school they went to, because their school won.
Just more high profile, sure.
Right. So in a sense, and now I know it really doesn't hurt you if you can play that time to get you. But I felt like it may hurt me because I didn't win, or I always tried to play hard, so I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I really didn't.
Well, you're home with your folks. Are you have family and friends there, or is it just kind of a quiet night of anticipation?
A couple, small family, not a lot of family. Like I said, I didn't know. It wasn't like I was thinking I was going to go first day. I didn't know. I really didn't know. I was hoping, but you really don't know.
And when the phone rang, did you have it were you able to, was it caller ID, or did you have any idea who was on the call before they said, this is Coach Green from the Minnesota Vikings?
Had no idea. Didn't have the caller ID. I was waiting for a call. When I got it, it was just an exciting call. It just said, we're gonna pick you. At that time, I was the 45th pick, and he said we're gonna pick you 45, ready to go. But yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
That's how it went. He said, looking forward to having you there.
And then when did you take off to Minnesota?
I think the next day. I think the next day I went up there, so they had Dwayne Clemens from University of California, Berkeley, was the first round pick, and Mo Williams was the third round pick. Mo Williams from Kentucky, so a familiar face, I guess you could say. It was an opponent of mine. So I think all three of us went up to Minnesota and got to know each other. And, really, pretty much stayed up there and started right away.
That's awesome. And before we keep going, we got a whole bunch of more Commodores have rolled in. I want to give you some shout outs. Brian Diggs, Jim, I apologize if I mispronounce your name. Aguiano. I apologize.
Yeah, Aguiano. Yep.
To tell you hello. OJ Fleming says, "What's up, bro?" Remember the stadiums. Let's see. One of the beloved Keystone Cops, Billy Smith, says to tell you hello. Will J says, hey. So you got all kinds of us here tonight, Jim.
Yeah, cool.
So you get with the Vikings, and let's go to that first camp for just a few minutes. You've played SEC football for 4 years. You're now playing against a whole bunch of SEC and just, the cream of the crop from around the country. Compare some of that competition in the SEC with what you are now facing as a rookie in the NFL, the best of the best.
The speed. The speed is amazing. That's all I can say. It was so fast, and the guys were so skillful. The biggest thing, when you lifting weights, and we lifted weights hard, had the strength, had the quickness, but that speed, man, oh man, it was. So that was the wake-up call from the start. Especially how the running backs hit the holes, just receivers, everything was so fast, and you really had no time to think. Go ahead.
I was going to say, not only the physical speed, the gifts, the physical speed of the athletes, but the speed of the game. You're used to playing in the SEC. Yeah. You had some pretty plain offenses. I mean, fairly sophisticated for college, but nothing like what you're going to see. And you're now going up against guys who are maybe as many as 10 years older than you, right, who've been playing this game since before you were at Huffman.
Right.
What was that adjustment like, that first camp?
They were skillful, man. I had to go. We had a really good offensive line, very skillful. And actually, they did some things to me I never had done to me before. The way they would grab you, the way they would, just it only took a little bit for a running back of that caliber to hit a hole, So the speed was quick. You had to think quickly on what they're doing to you, and then the little hand things that they would do. So it took me a while to really learn how to combat that. If you go in with your head down, they'll grab you in the back and pull you down. Little things like that. So it was totally different. It was a big adjustment. Huge adjustment.
Were there any Vanderbilt teammates on those two Vikings teams?
No, no.
What about in opponents, maybe in preseason?
Well, you know what? I take that back. Robert Davis came to camp one year. He didn't make it on the final roster, but he was in camp. Robert Davis was in camp.
Well, that was probably good to see a familiar face.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Now, what about preseason games or during the season when you traveled to other towns? Did you ever come up, meet up with other Commodores or run cross paths with any of you guys?
At that time, I didn't. I didn't see a whole bunch.
I don't think
Shelton Quarles played at Tampa Bay, I did see Corey. We played Seattle. I saw Corey Harris when he was up in Seattle. Other than that, at that time, I didn't see many Commodores.
Yeah, they're in the mid to late 90s. I think it was fairly lean with NFL players. It wasn't really until the 2000s, and then more recently, we've had more Commodores in the NFL. Well, what was it? We'll get off the NFL part, and we're getting close to being done. And Jimmy, I appreciate your time tonight and kind of running
thank you.
A bunch of memories here. What was it about the NFL experience that maybe you were able to share with your children or maybe use later on in life that really has been life lessons for you?
The biggest thing for me, I didn't last long in the NFL, and I think it's because I lost my confidence, bottom line. One of the things when I came to the SEC, I wouldn't say I was cocky, but I was very confident. I believed in myself. I thought I was the best. And I think I put too much stock in the players in the NFL. And then I hit what we call the tank, and I couldn't get out the tank. But then I started to do better and better as we practiced, and I didn't have the successes, and I started to really get down on myself. So what I learned from that experience, and that was a big life lesson for me actually, is have confidence in yourself, knowing that you are the best, and you can be the best if you work hard, and don't put anybody on the pedestal above you. If they're your competition, even though my teammates, we were competing for playing time, go out there and beat them, bottom line. So I tell my kids that now, believe in yourself and don't let anybody think anybody's better than you, even though you might hear a lot about them in the paper or whatever. Go out and beat them, bottom line. So I learned a lot at a young age, about 22, 23 years old, about believing in yourself and speaking up too. One of the things about the NFL is different from college. A lot of, like you say, they're grown men. And going into that situation was a little bit different for me. I didn't have the right mindset for it. Should have, but I learned a lot from that.
Well, I learned a lot from you tonight, and I sure appreciate you spending some time and sharing your stories with us.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we've had some more folks roll in. Will Pryor, one of my former teammates, is just popped
Chicken
in. Chicken wing. That's right. I had a great discussion with Will earlier this week on a different show that I have, but I posted it in this group. So if you guys want to go check that out, Will and I had a great conversation. But Jimmy, I sure appreciate your time tonight. It's been fun catching up with you, getting to meet you a little bit and learning your story.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it greatly. I want to say what's up to all my teammates. I look forward to seeing you guys down the road, maybe on campus or something. I appreciate you bringing me on. This is really cool. And I look forward to your future interviews.
Absolutely. And guys, we've got them lined up all the way through the end of the summer right now. Mark Johnson, Stump, originally from Birmingham and lives here in Birmingham as well. One of my teammates and came in my year of 86 with me, will be my guest next week. Guys, continue to just be patient with this pandemic, wear your mask, use common sense, and continue to anchor down. And we'll see you guys next day. Take care.